Have you ever wondered why you start avoiding people as you age? As the seasons pass, many of us notice our social circle shrinking and our eagerness to mingle fading, and it can be confusing to understand why. The truth is, there are clear reasons behind this shift, and they have less to do with becoming unfriendly and far more to do with how wisdom, energy, and priorities change over time. In this video, we are going to explore 6 reasons that explain why older adults often pull back from others, even when they still care deeply about connection. From the way your values mature to how your body and mind guard your limited energy, each reason shows that stepping back is not always a flaw. It can be a sign of growth when you understand what is happening and how to navigate it with care. Stay with me until the end, because the final reason is the most surprising one of all. It reveals how choosing solitude with intention can protect your peace without costing you the relationships that still matter. Understanding that difference could change the way you see yourself and the way you shape your days from now on. Now let's get started. Number 1, shifting priorities and valuing time differently. As you grow older, one of the strongest reasons you start avoiding people is because your sense of time changes. In your younger years, it felt like there was always more time to spend, more conversations to have, and more social obligations to juggle. But with age comes a new awareness that your hours and days are precious. You begin to weigh where and with whom you want to invest your energy, and suddenly casual gatherings or surface level friendships no longer hold the same appeal they once did. Think of Henry, a 74-year-old retiree who used to attend every neighborhood party, community meeting, and coffee outing with friends. Over the years, he found himself asking whether these events really brought him joy or simply filled his calendar. He realized that much of his social life revolved around obligations he didn't truly enjoy. Once he gave himself permission to say no, he found more time to spend with his grandchildren, to work on his garden, and to sit in peaceful reflection. For Henry, choosing fewer but more meaningful connections made him feel richer, not poorer. This doesn't mean you become antisocial. It means you become selective. You understand that your time is not infinite, and so you spend it with people who uplift you, inspire you, or bring comfort and peace. Seniors often step back from larger groups or acquaintances, not because they dislike people, but because they crave depth over breadth. It becomes less about how many friends you have and more about how genuine the relationships are. The shift in priorities also reflects maturity. You no longer feel the need to impress others, to keep up appearances, or to maintain friendships that drain more than they give. Instead, you seek authenticity. You value those who see you for who you are, not who you used to be, or who you pretend to be. Avoiding people in this sense is not a rejection of society, but a quiet acceptance of your own values. You understand that your time and energy are sacred, and you choose to protect them. Far from being selfish, this choice can actually strengthen the bonds that matter most, because the people you keep close know they are truly cherished. Number 2, protecting your limited energy. Another powerful reason you start avoiding people as you age is the recognition that your energy is no longer endless. In younger years, late nights, long conversations, and constant social demands were easier to handle. But as you grow older, your body and mind naturally demand more rest and recovery. Even joyful gatherings can leave you feeling drained, and you begin to recognize that not every social obligation is worth the toll it takes on your well-being. Consider Alice, a 78-year-old woman who loved hosting dinner parties when she was younger. She would spend hours cooking, serving, and chatting with friends until midnight. As she entered her later years, those same evenings left her exhausted for days afterward. At first, she felt guilty for pulling back, but eventually she understood that conserving her energy was an act of self-care, not selfishness. She chose smaller gatherings, earlier visits, and quiet afternoons, with 1 or 2 close friends instead of large crowds. By doing so, she preserved her strength and enjoyed deeper, more meaningful connections. Protecting your energy means becoming more aware of how certain people and situations affect you. Some relationships feel nourishing, leaving you calm and happy, while others stir up stress, arguments, or feelings of being drained. With age comes the wisdom to choose which ones to welcome and which ones to limit. You no longer have the luxury of pouring yourself out endlessly, so you begin to pour carefully and intentionally. This change often looks like avoiding large crowds, declining invitations that feel more like duties than joys, or limiting time with those who bring negativity into your life. Rather than spreading yourself thin, you give your best energy to the people and activities that truly matter. The goal is not to isolate, but to preserve the strength you need for the things that give your life meaning. Seniors often find that protecting energy is the difference between living in constant fatigue and living with steady joy. By stepping back from unnecessary demands, you allow yourself the freedom to stay active, engaged, and content on your own terms. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, losing patience for shallow conversations. As you age, another reason you begin to avoid people is because your tolerance for small talk and meaningless chatter starts to fade. In your younger years, you may have endured hours of polite conversations about the weather, gossip, or trivial matters just to be social. But with time, you realize that those exchanges rarely nourish the heart or the mind. Instead, you long for discussions that carry weight, conversations about family, faith, memories, or even the simple joys of everyday life. Think about Gerald, an 82-year-old, who used to meet his old colleagues for lunch every month. At first, the gatherings were enjoyable, but after a while, he noticed the talk never went deeper than complaints about traffic, politics, or old office drama. Gerald found himself leaving those lunches, feeling empty, as though he had wasted energy on words that didn't matter. Eventually, he chose to spend more time with his granddaughter, who loved hearing his stories about the past. Those afternoons left him feeling enriched, not drained, because the conversations held real meaning. This shift is not about disliking people, it is about valuing truth and depth. With age comes the awareness that life is too short for constant, surface-level chatter. You want to share laughter that feels genuine, wisdom that matters, and moments that leave a lasting impression. Conversations that lack substance start to feel like noise, and so you step back from them. For many seniors, this means choosing fewer social settings, but finding richer ones. It might be talking with an old friend about shared memories, mentoring a younger person, or simply sitting quietly with someone who listens. These connections bring more satisfaction than any number of shallow interactions ever could. Avoiding people in this way does not mean you are cold or unfriendly. It means you have discovered the power of meaningful communication. You understand that every word and every moment counts. By walking away from empty exchanges, you make room for the kind of conversations that give your later years depth, dignity, and joy. Number 4, guarding yourself from disappointment and loss. As the years go by, another reason you begin to avoid people is the deep awareness of how fragile relationships can be. You have lived long enough to see friends move away, grow distant, or pass on. Each loss leaves a mark, and after enough of them, the heart becomes cautious. Rather than opening yourself up to new connections that might one day bring pain, you may quietly retreat, convincing yourself it is safer to be alone. Eleanor, a 79-year-old widow, experienced this after losing her closest friend of 40 years. For months, she avoided invitations from neighbors, fearing that getting close to someone new would only lead to more heartbreak. She admitted later that her silence wasn't about disliking people. It was about protecting herself from the grief of another goodbye. Yet when she finally joined a quilting group at her local center, she found that new friendships did not replace her loss, but helped her carry it with greater strength. This self-protection is understandable, but when taken too far, it can trap you in isolation. By avoiding people entirely, you cut yourself off from the very comfort and healing that relationships can provide. While it is true that loss is part of aging, it is also true that connection is what gives the later years color and meaning. Guarding yourself does not mean shutting the door completely. It means pacing your openness in ways that honor your emotional needs. It is choosing carefully who to let in, but still allowing yourself to be surprised by the goodness that new relationships can bring. Old age teaches that love always carries the risk of loss, but it also teaches that a life without connection is its own kind of sorrow. Avoiding people to protect yourself may feel safer, but it often creates the very loneliness you hope to escape. Finding the courage to open your heart, even cautiously, is what makes your remaining years richer and more bearable. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, becoming more sensitive to negativity. As you get older, another reason you start avoiding people is that your tolerance for negativity diminishes. In earlier years, you might have shrugged off gossip, complaints, or arguments, thinking they were just part of social life. But with age comes a sharper awareness that negativity drains the spirit. You no longer want to spend your limited time listening to constant criticism, petty disputes, or voices that stir up stress instead of peace. Take Harold, an 81-year-old who used to meet regularly with a group of old acquaintances. Over time, he noticed their conversations revolved around complaining about politics, the cost of living, or the unfairness of life. He found himself leaving those gatherings weighed down with frustration instead of lifted up. Eventually, Harold chose to step away. Instead, he spent his mornings walking with a neighbor who shared stories of family and faith. He said those walks gave him more strength and joy than years of negative talk ever had. This shift does not mean you dislike people. It means you recognize how words shape your emotions and you choose to guard your peace. Seniors often discover that negativity seeps into their health, causing stress, sleepless nights, or even worsening physical conditions. By avoiding negative people, you protect your heart, your mind, and your body from unnecessary strain. Choosing peace over negativity often looks like limiting time with those who dwell on complaints, setting boundaries with toxic relationships, or gently redirecting conversations toward gratitude and hope. The result is that you feel lighter, calmer, and more content with life. Avoiding people in this case is not about shutting out the world. It is about choosing the right company. You learn that joy is not found in endless debates or shared complaints, but in conversations that nurture kindness, laughter, and encouragement. By stepping away from negativity, you make space for the kind of connections that fill your days with calm rather than chaos. Number 6, discovering peace in solitude. The final reason many seniors begin to avoid people is the simple truth that solitude becomes more precious with age. In earlier decades, life often revolved around constant interaction, raising children, working alongside colleagues, keeping up with neighbors and friends. But as those responsibilities lessen, you may find a new comfort in quiet mornings, reflective evenings, and the steady rhythm of your own company. Solitude stops feeling like loneliness and starts feeling like peace. Take Martha, an 83-year-old who spent most of her life in a bustling household. After her children grew up and her husband passed away, she was surprised to find she didn't always crave company. She began enjoying her daily routines, sipping tea by the window, reading books she had put off for years, or tending her garden. Martha said she felt closer to herself than ever before. Though she still cherished visits from family, she no longer felt the need to fill every silence with conversation. Solitude in old age is not about rejecting people, but about discovering balance. Being alone allows you to reflect, to rest, and to connect with your inner life in ways that constant socializing never allowed. For many seniors, this becomes a form of healing, a chance to process memories, to practice gratitude, and to nurture spiritual peace. But solitude works best when it is chosen, not forced. When you decide to enjoy your own company, it strengthens your sense of independence and self-worth. It reminds you that you can still find joy and meaning within yourself, without needing constant validation from others. Seniors who embrace solitude with intention often find they are more content when they do choose to connect with people, because they are doing it out of desire, not out of pressure. Old age reveals that peace is not always found in crowds, but often in quiet moments where you can breathe, reflect, and simply be. Avoiding people in this case does not mean you have lost interest in life. It means you have found a new way to appreciate it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Final thoughts. Aging changes the way we see the world, and it certainly changes the way we relate to people. What once felt necessary, large gatherings, constant phone calls, or always being available, may no longer feel as important. Instead, we begin to value our time, protect our energy, and choose relationships that truly nourish us. This does not mean we are becoming cold or distant. It means we are becoming wiser about how we spend the years ahead. Every reason we explored today, whether it was the need to protect emotional well-being, the shift in priorities, or the discovery of peace and solitude, points to the same truth: with age comes clarity. You realize you no longer need to chase approval or stretch yourself thin. You begin to live life on your own terms, and that is something to be proud of. But let me remind you of this. While it is natural to step back from certain connections, it is also important to hold on to the bonds that matter most. A good friend, a caring neighbor, or a loving family member can make all the difference in your later years. Avoiding people for the sake of peace should never mean isolating yourself completely. Balance is the key. So if you sometimes find yourself avoiding people more than you used to, take it as a sign of growth rather than loss. You are not withdrawing from life. You are curating it. You are choosing to fill your days with meaning, comfort, and people who add light to your journey. And that, my friend, is one of the greatest freedoms that aging brings. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.